Все, ребят, погнали. Думаю, кто не успел тут присоединиться. В общем, сегодня у нас потрясающая вторая часть собеседования технического на английском языке от Алексея. Очень круто, очень рада. Спасибо, Леша, ты пришел. Спасибо нашему кандидату Андрею за то, что присоединился и решил рискнуть прийти на собес. В общем, ребят, спасибо. Я передаю слово Леше. Погнали. Леша.
Let's get started. My name is Alexei. I'm an Android engineer at the company blah blah blah, and I'm going to conduct a technical interview with you. It may take different time. I think within 1 hour, and during this, you're going to be talking about different stuff. Started with your experience, and after that, I think we're going to design an Android application from scratch, and we're just going to discuss it, how it should work, and so on. Also, during the interview, I might have some notes regarding the process, and I also going to share it with you within the full. So yeah, let's get started. So let me wish you good luck. And with my first question, what I can see from your CV is that you've been working in company DevGym. It's really popular company. So what's you've been doing in there?
Yeah, so I'm working at DevGym for about 2 years by now, and I am just a regular feature developer. I work in a cross-functional team, which is responsible for a certain area of the app functionality. I can't really tell you the exact area I'm responsible on because it's all under NDA, but it's I would say like regular feature development using like pretty modern stack of technologies that everybody uses nowadays. So, pretty regular stuff from the development perspective.
Okay, so yeah, let's not talk about the company. As an Android engineer, what was the most excited, thing you've ever done during the whole your career? It can be, some feature maybe, or some custom view.
Yeah, interesting. I guess the first thing that comes into my mind is participating in coding challenges and programming competitions. Maybe about 5 months ago, I participated in my first one. It was held by Yandex. It's called the Yandex Cup 2021. I don't know if someone maybe also participated or maybe heard of it or something else. So yeah, the task, the challenge was about developing 5 different apps using completely different technologies from from using microphone on your Android device to image recognition, pose recognition, and then doing something based on it. So this was my first competition, and it was pretty rough 2 weeks, and I'm pretty proud to say that I took 3rd place, and they even paid me some money for it. So yeah, I guess this was the most exciting thing I did in my career as an Android engineer. Yeah.
And second, please, what was the application about? Just to detect some movements, by camera?
No. There was actually 5 applications on completely different topics. So as far as I remember, one of them was to. So basically, it was about breath recognition. So you turn on your phone and you start recording audio that comes from microphone, and then your application should somehow recognize it, split into pieces, and basically analyze. So, for example, you did a breathe in, for example, for 5 seconds, then you did breath out, for example, for 10 seconds, and then it just showed you the chart of the breaths that you did. And another app was about it was called plank detection. It was about detecting, the plank pose from yoga when you're just standing on the floor and like this, right? So it was about, so somehow your app should recognize you standing on the floor and start counting automatically, and then keep your records. For example, you on Monday you did your plank like for 20 seconds, on Tuesday for 45 seconds, and so on. Yeah. So something like that. Yeah, there was 5 apps. So I tell.
Yeah, you
tell
mentioned
about,
2. That's enough. So yeah, quite interesting features about breathing application. Like how was it implemented? I mean, the detection itself, is that okay? This is a breathing, and we should count it.
Yeah, actually, I mean, there wasn't any like machine learning involved. It was like pretty simple stuff. So basically, yeah, I want to highlight that the app works only in a very quiet environment, because I mean, it should somehow listen to your breath, and like normally person breathes pretty quiet, right? So how it worked? I mean, do you want me to tell about the recognition part, or about the overall structure? That I mean the micro.
Just overall structure would be enough.
Yeah. So I mean, I used MVI for it, and
no, like the common structure. I mean, like not in terms of technologies, but okay, let's better talk how the recognition part was done.
Yeah, sure. So
and especially breathing parts. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was quite interesting. So basically, when the app listens to your breath, it records like the volume, like the amplitudes of the volume you make when you breathe, right? So and after it, you ended up with like a huge array of data. So basically, at each cell of this array, it's either like some low value, which means that this probably quiet phase, and then some high value, which means, I mean, probably you're breathing now. And there are actually like a separate topic which solves this kind of problems. It's called signal modularization, I believe. So basically, the task is to somehow iterate through that data and determine at each cell whether you're breathing on this particular cell. I did this, I would say, pretty inaccurate and roughly. I just found some algorithm on the internet about this, and just feed the data to this algorithm, and I got some output. Since you have like really limited amount of time to implement all of this, yeah, I just took like, not random, I Googled something. So there was an algorithm which takes this piece of data. I fed the data to the algorithm, and then based on it, I see, okay, I mean, 0 means no breath, and 1 means breath. I mean, that the person is breathing. Yeah, and then I just made an assumption. So when some person click this button, I mean, they probably start with inhale. So, and exhale is going after inhale.
Yeah, I see. Touch is that enough? Thanks. Actually, it's like one of the most interesting stuff I've ever heard during like asking this question. So quite nice experience. Okay, and if it's not under NDA, I don't know, like what was the most critical mistake you've ever had? Maybe some bug.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you about the bug I made when I was working at my previous company, blah, blah, blah. Also, it's called like exactly as yours, blah, blah, blah. But it's a different company, actually. So yeah, I messed up with the Boolean flags, basically with the feature flags. And unfortunately, it led to the situation when the feature wasn't working because of this, I mean, this stupid like condition, if something, then turn on feature and else turn off it. Yeah. So this I believe it was my like biggest mistake. So it wasn't recognized by anyone that the feature, I mean, the feature was like so important that it didn't work for 2 months and no one noticed it. So yeah, pretty important feature. So yeah, then we did, and actually no one, not developers, not at the review stage, not at the QA stage, not at the rollout stage, no one noticed that it's not working actually. So yeah, this again was the pretty important feature. And yeah, so after that, I mean, the next question is what action points should be taken to prevent this in the future, right? So in my opinion, we should cover even this. I mean, especially the features with this level of importance, with the like end-to-end test to check that the feature is working on each release. Yeah, and at that time at the company we didn't have any such tests. So yeah, something like that. If you have any questions,
Yeah,
please
okay.
ask.
Yeah, okay, no, that's fine. So also like to be up to date with the latest things, it's really important to learn something new. So, and what are you currently trying to explore in Android engineering?
Yeah, for now I'm just grinding lead code. Yeah, but yeah,
I guess we can follow up after. Or I also doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, technologies comes and go. I was pretty interested in the Jetpack Compose, but then my how do I say that? My thinking about it changed a bit. So then I came into conclusion that everything is just like a tool, and Jetpack Compose is also like a tool for us developers to make our job. So I mean, if I know the like regular views framework and it's working fine, I would rather stick to it. I mean, at this point of time, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I mean, in my opinion, the developer, I would say, should not. I mean, should not learn any new framework that issued by Google at Google I/O. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, okay, so I guess we can move to the technical parts. So we're gonna design an application from scratch. It's not like a system design stage. So we're just gonna discuss what we're gonna do. So the application, let it be trading application. So we actually hiring you as a first Android engineer, but the team is gonna grow up to 50 or 60 engineers in 2 years, within 2 or 3 years. And our task actually to make really scalable architecture, scalable approaches, and so on. So let's start maybe with a really simple stuff with a language. So I suppose you like which language you're gonna use?
Yeah, for sure, I would use Kotlin. Yeah, I mean it's just more convenient, but I have no issues with writing code in Java also.
What are there any issues with Kotlin? What you don't really like in Kotlin?
What I really don't like in Kotlin? Interesting question. Yeah, I mean sometimes it's a bit too sugary. And so some developers might abuse it. I mean, if you have like extension functions like apply, then let, then something else, and it's really hard to follow the idea. I mean, what should be done? And yeah, this I don't like for sure. But
yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was going to tell again that the Kotlin and also Java and the other languages is just a tool, and yeah, of course they all have like pros and cons, and maybe it just goes down to like what you are used to. I mean, like 10 years ago, everyone was writing code in Java, and no one complains about it, right? And yeah.
Yeah, for now, just found some problems with that. So yeah, and of course we're going to use Kotlin. Okay, what do you like actually in Kotlin? Which features?
Which features? Yeah, I would probably start with the features I use the most in the language. I like the sealed classes one, and now you can actually do the sealed interface from 1.1.5, I believe. Also, I like data classes, extension functions, and probably
Sorry,
node safety is also a good one.
What was the first part? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yes, so I said sealed classes and sealed interfaces. Yeah, we use them at my current company as a way to like describe the events that can be like emitted by view or consumed by some other object in code. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So probably for MVI stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about data classes. Like which disadvantages do you have in them?
Yeah. So there's one disadvantage. I know. I mean, at least one, right? So basically, if you will make, I mean, yeah, maybe I started my thought wrong. So basically, yeah, data class is a final class. You cannot extend it. I mean, it can be a disadvantage for some cases. Also, if you mark your class with a data keyword, there will be a lot of stuff generated automatically. I mean, which can eventually lead to more larger like app size. Yeah, there's a good article about it. You can find it in the internet. Yeah, I mean, and the on the other hand, the data classes like provide lots of stuff out of the box, like equals hash code and toString and stuff like that. And also you have a beautiful copy method, which is very useful when you like emitting new state.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Okay. I see. Like, are there any I don't know, any situations when you're actually forced to override an equals and a hash code even if it's declared as a data class?
Yeah, as far as I remember, if you are using arrays inside of your data class, it says that you should override this by yourself and compare it manually or something like that. I mean, it's just like the Android Studio do this marking of this array variable in the code. I don't remember actually what is stands for, but basically you should like override this equals and hash code methods.
Okay, I see. And regarding the collection framework itself, what's actually the key difference between the collections in Java and collections in the Kotlin?
Interesting question. Collections in Java and collections in Kotlin. I mean, the collections in Kotlin is just like a proxy classes for collections in Java mostly, right? What can be the difference? I know that like array of ints and int array is a different stuff. I mean, one working with the objects with like the big ints. I mean, in the other one is working with the primitives. What else can be the difference? Yeah, I don't know actually. If you could tell, that would be perfect.
Actually, like I'm pretty sure that you know about it. So it's mutability and mutability. So they are kind of split. So, but still in Java you can call the unmutable list from Kotlin, so and you can easily modify it. So yeah. Okay. Also, I have a lot of actually functions, a lot of stream-based functions with the collections, like a filter, like a map, and so on and so on. What actually disadvantages do you have from that?
So each of them, I believe, generating new array, new like a set of data, new something, not only array, but like list set or something else. And yeah, so there is a thing called sequences of Kotlin. It's like a lazy computation of all this stuff. You can use it instead if your data is pretty large.
Okay, there's also keywords like as an inline in the Kotlin. So, why should we use it?
So I guess I should start with the high order functions. So in Kotlin, you can actually like return another function from your function, or like take another function as a parameter to your function, and these functions are called high order functions. And you may want to inline some of these functions again. So basically, if you will mark your function with inline keyword, all the functions that are comes into it as a parameters will be inline, and this means basically they will be like typed into like bytecode, right? There are actually a way to exclude that from inlining. You can just type like no inline, and another keyword, I believe it's called cross inline, if you like changing the context of it.
Yeah, but actually, like I still haven't got an idea of inlining, like in a simple language. What is it?
So as I understand it, it's when you like literally take the body of your function and do the like. I mean, in the compilation phase, you will just paste it into the calling side, right? And you can, so that's why you can do actually returns from inline functions. I mean, just like above the stuff here.
Yeah, I see. So yeah, now it's clear. And like, let's not talk about cross-inline and non-line. I mean, like, let's not talk about cross-inline and and non-line. Like, let's focus about disadvantages of inlining. So, what can it affect?
It's also can affect the application size. I mean, because if you will inline some function which is called at a large amount of places, you will end up with with lots of code generated for you because of this inlining. I mean, you should be pretty careful when you're inlining stuff.
Yeah, okay, I actually agree. It also might affect some performance as well because of the size of the DEX file. So we might have like a lot of DEX files in, I don't know, some big companies. Yeah, it's more than 50 and 60 and 60. So, okay. I think we've done with Kotlin. Let's start with the application. Okay, we've selected the Kotlin. This is great. Let's focus on network. What's we gonna use for network? Which library?
Yeah, so it's like depending on the protocol, we will choose the whole company level. But I mean, like pretty obvious response for this would be retrofit. So because it just allows to make HTTP calls with ease, and it has like integrations with I believe with RxJava and with coroutines. It's pretty common solution, for this.
And is it only retrofit or like retrofit plus a HTTP? What is actually the difference? Like we have a HTTP and we have retrofit.
Yeah, so I mean, like this is just my understanding. It's not for sure. It's not documentation.
That's fine.
And so basically, the retrofit, I would say, like uses HTTP internally to make HTTP calls. But I don't know actually. Can you use anything? I mean, different from HTTP, but I mean, probably you could. There's probably some kind of abstraction layer about it, but this is just my assumption.
Yeah. Okay. We finalized is going to be it's going to be retrofit regarding the network. Are we going to add something else maybe to that. So our application might have a, I don't know, small chat. So what do you think? Should we add some WebSocket library as well?
Yeah, I mean, if we, I remembered you said that we will develop like a trading application. Yeah, then for sure we will need some kind of a socket library, socket connection library, because I mean the prices are changing like pretty often, and you want to receive those changes as soon as possible. So yeah, that's a good point actually to have something for handling like this socket connection. Yeah, I know that there is a library called Scarlet, and it's actually I believe was, I mean, I know that from one of the previous sessions of the Dev Gym. So yeah, I haven't checked it really.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, what do you think about what we're gonna do with trading? A lot of options we have.
Also, about trading. Yeah, so I would say that I will pick something that is like pretty common nowadays. I would pick RxJava because only because I worked like previously with RxJava mostly, and actually I haven't like investigated coroutines yet. So this is probably the answer. I mean, why will I pick the RxJava over coroutines? I mean, because I just like haven't even worked with the coroutines. Yeah, and I believe
And which RxJava would you choose, second or the third one?
Interesting. I would probably do some research about, I mean, so basically when it comes to RxJava version, you have lots of integrations, I mean, tied with it, right? I believe some Android X libraries can work only with the second one. Some of them can work with the third one. So I would make this investigation to just understand if there are enough libraries that work with the third one. I would just pick the latest. I don't know actually the difference between them.
Okay. So on regarding the presentation layer, so how are we gonna organize it for each screen? Imagine that we actually supposed to have, I don't know, 100 flows. Each flow contains 5 or 10 screens.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting question. So in my current company, we have, I would say, like in-house solution for all the presentation stuff. Yeah, but if I were to start a new app and I was like building a team and stuff like that, I would probably pick something from Google. I mean, because it's like pretty common stack of technologies, and you can easily find your developers that will understand how this stack works. So I would probably pick like a view model from Google, and yeah, probably in combination with live data, and I would do a single activity application based on, of course, on fragments, since it's a single activity. Yeah. Yeah, but we actually have some alternatives. For example, Uber uses their own framework called Rips. Maybe you have heard of it. And so it's basically like their own fragment manager with some improvements. Yeah.
Okay. So regarding Google View Model, why would you choose? I mean, yeah, I would actually understand why would you choose, because like everyone familiar with that. That's great. So which presentation layer pattern would you implement based on View Model?
Yeah, I would go with the MVI for a couple of reasons. I mean, again, first reason is that like last 2 years I worked with the MVI and I know how to work with it. And yeah, in my opinion, it has this how do you say that? It has its advantages over, for example, like MVVM. It's the main advantage is like unidirectional data flow is when like everything comes to this view model in one stream, and then you just consume your state in another stream, right? And everything is just clear, and the view is as simple as possible. It just like renders the state of this view model. Yeah, so I would choose the MVI for the presentation layer architecture.
Which problems, by the way, do you have with the MVI? They are kind of classic.
Yeah, actually, interesting question. So I think the main problem is just how to render your view properly, since you can, I mean, in MVI, the state can be dispatched like multiple times a second, like, I mean, 1,000 times a second and stuff like that. And you should have some like a defink mechanisms inserted into your view, so it can be handled properly, so you not be rendered each time the new state actually appears. Yeah, but this problem is already solved. I mean, there are multiple solutions. One of them is called Model Watcher. I believe you could search it in the internet, which basically like compares each field of the state each time the new state emitted and triggers the callbacks to re-render the view only on the variables that actually changed. So it's pretty efficient. Yeah, and I mean, since the state can be emitted also like I mean multiple times a second, you have the problems with the pollution. State should be immutable, and each time the state emitted, the new object should be created. And I mean, today we have like phones which are actually more powerful than a computer, so I don't think it should be the problem. But still, I mean, the idea of it is like that, so you can't have problems with that. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Great. Okay. I think also like but how can we deal in MVI with, I don't know, with single events? Because okay, that's actually great that we have the state of our screen. So, but sometimes we just need to show some toast or something that's actually not a part of the state.
Yeah, that's a good question, and this breaks all the MVI, all the MVI idea, right? Because I mean, you have like two streams now, one which emits states, and the second one which emits this single time events. I mean, it can be implemented differently. So I believe you have something from Google, something like one-shot live data or something like that, and or otherwise you can just use like publish relay from RxJava to that to dispatch this kind of events, and Vue will also subscribe to it and yeah, will consume these events.
But they cannot be implemented without separated stream.
Without separate stream, I mean, if you're asking this question, then it's probably can. But let me think a bit about it.
I mean, yeah, that can, but I mean, it's. I wouldn't say that it's straightforward solution. So I mean, it's just possible.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, so first thing that I mean, if we will have only one stream, then we will have to store somehow this this like this toast in our state, but then we just have to like dismiss it from the state after some time. Maybe this is the way, but yeah.
We'll talk until like this. Okay, so like what would you use like in other layers? Okay, we've done with presentation layer. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, so it like depends on the complexity of the screen. If the screen is like pretty simple, I wouldn't use like any of these additional layers like interactor and stuff like that. I will just inject the repository into view model and just live with it. if it's like more complex screen, again, it's like really depending on the screen. For example, and I mean, it's just like depending on your preferences. You can just use multiple view models that describes, I mean, the one screen, or you can just use like multiple interactors and then make your view model state is just like huge. So yeah, answering your question, I would use something like a pretty also common, for example, injecting some kind of interactor into view model, and then the repository will be injected in the interactor, and then repository will make these calls either to network or into local cache, and yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, how would you implement its dependency injection for that? So you mentioned that you want to have single activity application.
Yeah.
So we can basically imagine that we have a lot of screens, like I don't know, 100 plus screens. Somehow we need to be able to group them into some flows, somehow we just need to connect all of that stuff with a dependency injection. So, what's your thoughts about it?
Yeah, interesting question. So I would go with also like a common approach. I would use like a Dagger with the component dependencies. I mean, to be able to split this into like a several modules. But also, I would highlight that if possible, I wouldn't use any like DI framework to do the dependency injection, because at the end, the amount of code is, if the amount of code is large, I mean, the amount of generated code will be even larger, and I mean the build times will be larger and stuff like that. So, and there are some disadvantages if you are using Dagger at each screen. So, if possible, I would try to do some kind of a manual DI when like building the screen.
Yeah, let's imagine that you can make your decision. Just to keep in mind that the team is going to grow up to 30 or 50 engineers, Android engineers. So yeah, what would you use, Dagger or just custom based DI you've implemented yourself?
Interesting question. I think I would use some kind of a combination of this. So basically, like the app level dependencies, it's probably good to provide them with Dagger. And at each screen level, I would try to reduce Dagger usage as much as possible. Actually, I don't know why I said that it's like good to provide this application level dependencies with Dagger. I mean, it's just easier than like doing the DI yourself. Answering your question. So yeah, I would probably do first. I would do like manual DI, and then if I will really feel that like, if I would really feel that I need some framework, I would use Dagger. To just help me to, maybe to reduce like the development time or something like that. Yeah. So first I would go with the manual DI. Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, which potential problems might we have with the manual DI? With the Dagger, okay, we have a lot of problems. We have a lot of benefits and a lot of problems. So, but choosing the manual DI, you also mentioned that it might be a bit more complicated for engineers. And yeah, why do you think so?
With manual DI, you should somehow manage all this. For example, you want to create a singleton or something like that, and you have to manage this by yourself, and this can be pretty tricky. Also, if So if you will try to initialize something, for example, in a different thread or something like that, it also can be very tricky with the manual UI as well as with with using Dagger. Yeah, so I think the main disadvantage is just it adds more complexity to the developers that like come into your team from the outside, right? And after some time, I believe they will get used to it, and yeah, they will be okay. I hope they will be okay.
Yeah, hopefully they are okay. And regarding the stuff with features organization, okay, I understand how it's gonna be with the DI. So how it's gonna be, how a lot of screens will be combined together in one feature. For instance, we have payments, or I don't know, something like that. So payments, it's a couple of screens, 3 or 4. And somehow we just need to combine them into one feature.
Yeah. I think I understand your question. So yeah, basically, yeah, for instance, regarding the payment screen, so we will still need to have some like a root screen to coordinate all of its children, right? So I mean, the children of this like payments flow, I mean, if they can be reusable, they shouldn't know anything about each other, and their parents should know. I mean, it can be anything like a parent fragment or something else should know all about the coordination, and then all these children of these parents should have only like defined outputs and inputs, and it should, I mean, the communication should be that way that the children are not communicating directly with each other, but they are communicating with each other, I mean, somehow differently. It can be through the parent or through the data layer, for example, or something like that. Yeah.
Am I right that you're actually talking about some, I don't know, some kind of flow fragment, which gonna be like a fragment and which gonna, I don't know, has some internal navigator and which gonna operate fragments like inside fragments, right? Or
yes,
no?
Yeah, something like that. I actually just Googled the flow fragment. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm talking about the flow fragment. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the exact
Okay, so
name.
imagine like a, yeah, that's fine. Actually, you gave the definition. So how would you imagine that you have two different flows, flow A and flow B, and flow A consists of from, I don't know, 10 screens, flow B from also 10 screens. And somehow it happens that you actually need to have some, you already declared the dependency from flow A as an internal. So, and this feature doesn't know anything about flow A.
Yeah,
So
I lost you about like 10 seconds ago. Maybe something wrong with my internet connection. Could you please repeat the the dependency part of this? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Basically, how can you share some data between flows, between different features? You have feature A, which consists of a couple of screens. Feature B, which also consists of a couple of screens. All of them, they have their own DI. I don't know. It can be either either component started or something like that. How would you share some data between of them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, probably you should have some kind of a repository on the application level, which can be like observable or something like that. So basically, one flow can like dispatch something to it, and the other flow can like consume events from it or something like that. And it just have to be scoped at, for example, at application level, not at flow level, and then like each flow can like dispatch events to it, and yeah, something like that.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that actually. So imagine that Let me just check what stuff we are talking about. Okay, yeah. How would you organize the work with UI? As far as I understood, you probably would proceed with a legacy approach with views from 2008 or 9. Don't exactly remember. So yeah, why?
Yeah, interesting question. Maybe I would not proceed with them, but it's like depending on the task itself. So, I mean, from my understanding, Jetpack Compose is not like completely ready for production. I mean, sorry about that. Yeah. So Jetpack Compose is not ready for production, from my understanding. I mean, and there are some things that are pretty hard to implement at the current stage of the Jetpack Compose development. I mean, as a framework. Yeah, I mean, for example, if you will try to do some, like, I don't know if they added it or not, but I mean, like 2 months ago, you actually cannot add any custom animations to recycle view, for example. Yeah, and since the Android already solved these like problems from 2008, they have like 13 years ago, 13 years to solve all these problems. Yeah, I would go with the views from the start, but then I would probably do something about Compose. I mean, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong about it, and I should pick the Compose from the start. Yeah.
Actually, like there is no right question. I mean, there is no right answer for that question because it all depends. All depends of like everything. So how soon the MVP should be done, and so on. So yeah, being honest, me personally, I also would proceed with old-fashioned views, but I would also lay some basics for migration. Maybe some of the features they're completely in a Jetpack Compose. So, like, how would you organize the UI layer in terms of ability to use it by 30 or 40 Android engineers?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it would be really, really cool if we would have some kind of a design system in our app with the like customizable components, with the reusable customizable components, which can be extracted into separate module. I mean, to be able to be reused by multiple engineers. Yeah, and this design system from the development point can be also implemented like pretty differently, and you actually can do it in a way like similar to Compose. You can just, I mean, there is a great talk about it. If you want, I can share it later. But the point is, you can actually do your design system like similarly to Compose. So you will have like a components, you will have a component models, and I mean, then the migration to Compose will be easier because the APIs of these component models will be pretty similar to what you have like in the composable functions, and yeah, probably the migrations would be easier. Yes, sorry about. I mean, I always start answering your question.
What do you think?
I will. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Go on.
Yeah, I started to say that when I started to answering your question, I would go into some kind of a different direction, and yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. So, like, regarding design system, what do you think? Should we make it somehow for engineers, for the users, actually? By users, I mean engineers who are gonna use our design system, that they even don't need to know what we use inside, old-fashioned views or the Jetpack Compose.
Yeah, interesting question. I mean, I see like advantages of it because we could like later can switch easily between like old-fashioned views and compose if we will introduce some kind of abstraction layer which will represent like the APIs of this our design system. But on the other hand, you have you have like additional abstraction layer. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like this approach. But for sure, I mean, I would like investigate more how will it be implemented. Yeah.
Okay, I see. But so how can we, like, regarding the design system, can we somehow strict the components usage? For instance, like what design system means? It means that okay, we have a lot of components ready to be used in the development, and we actually we want only that components be using into each feature, right? And so, like, how can we strict actually the usage? But for instance, like as an engineer gonna add the text view because they didn't know that actually there is already created component from the design system with a lot of useful methods inside and so on. So how to prevent them by using of just the text view?
Interesting question. So I think if we want, we could just introduce some kind of a lint rules which will check the basically the package name of this like text view, text component. They will analyze the XMLs or something like that, and we will just like forbid any non-design system usage in our apps. But in reality, you actually cannot do that, in my opinion, because I mean, if you want for your feature to be delivered like fast, sorry. There can be the cases when you don't have like the exact implementation of your design system ready. So I think it's fine to use something else. And another point, we could just introduce a new stage when developing the designs of the feature. So the designers will use, we should agree with them what components do we have, and these components, it would be like really cool for the API of these components to be shared between not only like, so the APIs will be shared between Android, iOS, and the web, for example, and the designers will use the components only from this design system, and then the developers will be just looking at the designs and see, okay, so I have this I don't know, dev-gym text view, and then I can.
Yeah, like the question is sorry for interruption. We just need to cover other topics. Yeah, that's actually great stuff you mentioned. So, but the main problem is that somehow we just need to strict the usage, and of course we can do it with lint, but with lint to have a really huge problem that it requires actually just standard lints where we're going to check, I don't know, some imports or something like that. So it requires the compilation of the whole project. Can we maybe avoid it? Because the engineers, they are going to wait, I don't know, until we build our application. Or in the case of a lot of Gradle modules, it may be pretty time consumable.
Yeah, for sure. I understand your question, but actually I don't have an answer. So if you do know, please share. That's really interesting how to restrict that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Okay. Actually, a lot of ways to do that. So, like, first one, how framework Danger, which works based on Git diffs. So internally, there is just a Git diff command. So, and we can check each file modified, and we can check each file contents with Danger. And also, we can do it in a really I don't know, in really strange way. So just write a Python script, which like you're gonna parse some file and so on. Like it's not very convenient, so but it's gonna be fail fast approach, and engineer gonna know about the problem in 2 or 3 minutes after the build started. Okay, so yeah, that's actually fine. How would you test the design system? How to guarantee that the components we've added, they are work fine?
I mean, probably you could like add some kind of a screenshot tests, which will, I mean, first they will do like a comparison between like previous and new version of the design system, so the developer can understand if he broke something, and then they will just add new stuff to these screenshots to be later analyzed. I mean, to be later added to this comparison. And yeah. So, and also you probably should add some kind of a design demo. I mean, for the obvious reasons. I mean, for the developers to do that, like the manual testing if they broke something. Yeah.
Okay. Regarding the screenshot testing, like what would you use for that?
I have no idea actually. I know that the Espresso has some tools to do these screenshots, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that there are lots of,
like it's not a question. Sorry, sorry. This is not a question we are planned to discuss. But anyway, like how can we do a screenshot from the view?
So you probably, so there is a method called get drawing cache or something like that, and you could just like traverse your view tree up to the hierarchy, find the root view, and take the drawing cache of this view and save it as a bitmap later. I believe screenshots done that way.
Yeah, and also like there is like a even simpler way, so we can just we can just add our own. We can substitute the canvas, so and we can just convert this canvas to a bitmap after that. So yeah, this is actually the way it's done in this process methods. What do you think? Like, will it be possible to run such test on JVM? I actually was asking. Like with instrumented tests, especially with a screenshot test, there are a lot of problems because you also should deal with it somehow on the CI. So can we do it with JVM?
Yeah, I know, Alexei, that tests is like a your thing. I mean, you're proficient about that. Yeah, I'm not sure actually that we can use. I mean, I'm not sure what to answer on this question. I don't know if we can use on this kind of tests on the JVM. Probably, from my understanding of things, we cannot. Yeah, but maybe I'm wrong.
Actually, like as usual, there is no right answer on this question. That's why I really like to ask. So there is a lot of libraries. So there is a Roboelectric, which basically do kind of fork of our Android, the whole Android, and there is one more library which calls Paparazzi or something like that. So it's actually a library which allows to run, which also basically do the fork of the Android, so and which can actually capture screenshots and compare them on the JVM level. So yeah, but it also just really minor stuff. Okay, so let's talk a bit about yeah, sorry. Yeah, something is my connection probably. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Let's talk a bit about developer performance. Actually, our team is growing fast. How can we split the features in our huge application module?
I mean, I'm not sure what do you mean by how should we split them? Yeah, I said that I'm not really sure what you mean by what do you mean by splitting the features? I mean, into separate modules or what do you mean?
Yeah, just into separate modules actually. I mean, yeah. And the other question is, how can we do that?
So basically, if I understand the question correctly, we should try to extract all the common stuff into like some kind of a core modules, and then I mean the regular feature modules will use that core modules, and hopefully we will somehow like parallelize this feature development, so each developer could work on each like a separate module. Something like this. But if you have questions, please ask. Maybe I got the question wrong or something like that.
Yeah, actually, you got it fine. So like the additional question for that, how can we deal with cyclic dependency of the modules?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the app will just not compile if there will be cycling dependencies, right? So hopefully it will not merge into master. But so I think I understand what is the question about. So basically, we could like introduce, I mean, some kind of a core module with the with some kind of a, I don't know, like mediators or how it's called. And then we will substitute the implementation of this like mediators on the application level, and then each feature module will like depend on this core module. And the implementation will be taken from the app level, and the app level will know all about the feature modules, and the feature modules will not know anything about like its neighbors. It will only know stuff about this like a core module with the mediators, or I don't know how to call this. So that's how like you can actually start like one feature module from another one. Yeah, if this was question about it.
Yeah, and like regarding the modularization itself, like what do you think about it? Like, do we need to have it? In which cases do we need to have it? And so on.
Yeah, I mean, probably it's a good thing to have like modularization from the start, because I mean, if we are planning to grow to 50 or 60 developers, I mean, the app probably will grow, and we will have lots of like issues with the performance in terms of like builds and stuff like that. If we will have like a monolith structure of our code, so and also you have ability to reuse these modules in for example in a different project or something like that. So I mean, you can optimize your build time if you will split your code into more modules. So lots of advantages of you using this approach. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and like with the build time, actually, like it's great you mentioned it. So like, how can we basically optimize our build time? Okay, we can split our application to different modules. Like, which kind of problem might we have with them or with that?
Which kind of problem? So basically, if some like the core module will be changed, all the dependents, all the modules that are actually depending on this core module will also be rebuilt when we will build our application. And there is an approach called API Impo. So you can split your module into like APIs and actual implementation, and then if you change something in implementation, only the direct dependent will be recompiled, or yes, something like that.
Yeah, I see. Like, and which other problem, like, maybe have if you have like a lot of modules, like thousands?
So which problems? Yeah, I also I also don't know the answer to this. I mean, we could have lots of problems. It's like really hard to manage all the library dependencies. I mean, if we will have some kind of, I mean, all of these problems, I believe, will be related to our builds somehow. Yeah, but I don't know what like the exact problems we will have. Yeah, I mean, it could be multiple. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you're right. We have a lot of problems, and they are not pretty obvious. So with modules, we might have configuration time increased like a lot. And our configuration time will be like bigger than actually advantages of using multi-models. So, but since latest Gradle, we actually have configuration cache. It works kind of tricky way. So, but it's still not a silver bullet for that problem, and unfortunately. So okay, let's talk a bit about the development pipeline. How would you organize a continuous integration system for engineers? Like, what would you run on the pull requests and so
on? So I would probably so before merging into something, right, into master or into development, I would probably run all of stuff I could run. So like we call it entry point at our current company. It's like all the unit tests, all the UI tests, all the like lint rules and detect, and like literally everything to prevent broken master. And after each like push to the origin, I would probably run something how do you say that, something light, like detect or something like that, just to highlight if there will be any problems. I mean, like to prevent. I mean, so basically, if there will be problems at the detect level, so the developer could fix them, and I mean, the detector will not break the entry point build later. Yeah, something like that.
What do you think? Would it be better to run the detect on like on the pull request, because actually it takes only a couple of minutes, and we can just prevent like of merging such changes?
Yeah, I mean, the detect should also be run on the pull request for sure. I mean, at least for me, the detect is, I mean, one of the like pains. Because I mean, you like prepare your pull request, and you're ready to like run all this like entry point where all the unit tests and UI tests and stuff like that will be run, and then your build fails because of the detect, and you should rerun all this stuff. So yeah, maybe it's just my thing, and I completely agree with you.
How can we? How can we prevent this? Like you mentioned, pretty good stuff. We run UI tests, we run just tests with the builds and so on and so on. After that, we run detect, and sorry, like unused import, just delete it. Can we make it fail fast somehow?
Yeah, for sure. We could run detector before all this stuff here.
Yeah. Okay. And okay, probably gonna be last question from my side. Working to a big team, actually, it's quite challenging stuff to keep, I don't know, a main branch or development branch always to be not broken. And why actually development branch can be broken? Because we do actually all of the checks. We run the tests and so on and so on. But for some reasons, like you can wake up and to check that some engineer merged some feature which actually breaks the whole compilation.
Yeah, interesting question. I mean, this probably means that we should introduce more checks, but yeah, I mean, I don't have the answer for this particular question. Yeah, I mean, this basically means that something is wrong. Maybe yeah, some check is not working, or I mean, it could, for example, in my current company, we use a proto generator, proto buff and stuff like that, and you can actually break the master with we have like a task. When the proto files are updated, we have a task which can be run, and then it will be automatically merged into master, and you can break the master actually with these changes if the these changes introduced in proto will not be supported by client for somehow, I don't know. Yeah, so something like that, but I am sure you want to hear some different answer on this question.
I mean, actually, it's how can it happen? It's two engineers, they just press merge at the same time with changing of I don't know, the same file. So and we've got a conflict. So because we can actually have an opportunity to merge it at the same time. The solution of that is not pretty straightforward. Actually, to make guarantee in 100%, we just need to build our changes. We just need our changes are part of the latest changes in development branch always, which means that somehow we should have some queue of engineers. We should have a very, very a great machine for that with a lot of CPU cores and so on. So yeah, but it's also a question of of discussion. Okay, I think we've done with.
Yeah, I was going to say that we actually have this kind of a merge queue in our current company. So yeah, maybe that's. I mean, the still master is broken somehow, even with this queue. I mean, it's pretty rare. It happens pretty rarely, but still, yeah, we have this queue, and master is not always healthy. Yeah.
Okay. I think we've done, and we can switch to our native language to proceed. Да. В общем, Андрей, спасибо большое. Короче, очень круто, на мой взгляд, пообщались. Вот, расскажи, как у тебя были ощущения вообще на этом интервью? Вот, в целом, как ты себя чувствуешь?
Да, все круто, вопросы интересные. Могу сказать, что большинство из них я, честно говоря, никогда в жизни не решал. Например, я плотно не занимался, например, тестами, чтобы именно настраивать инфраструктуру в приложении. Я скорее выступал все время как такой типа пользователь клиентский, все инфраструктуры уже, которые есть, я только условно тестики сам писал. Вот, но тем не менее было интересно подумать над тем, как бы я это сделал. На самом деле не факт, чтобы я это сделал именно так, как я сказал. Понятно, что я могу там еще 10 раз передумать за следующие 5 минут, как лучше бы это сделать. Вот. Да, интересные вопросы. И мне, кстати, я сначала помню, что ты, Алексей, проводил такое похожее интервью по структуре, что вот тоже там выбирали технологии, как сделать приложение там на одном из прошлых вот этих dev-джимов. Вот, и тогда я подумал, почему именно такая структура интервью, а потом, возможно, ты меня проверишь, но я потом понял, что типа, условно, вот ты спрашиваешь такой вопрос, вот, например, что бы я выбрал, я такой говорю, вот, допустим, MVI я бы выбрал, и такой начинаешь там разгонять дальше по MVI и так далее, так далее, так далее. Типа, вот, я так понимаю, что это для этого делается, или нет?
Ну, это вот очень на самом деле делается, чтобы просто держать дискуссию. Вот, и то есть все сервисы проводят по-разному, и мне просто нравится там разговаривать с то, не знаю, там, да, вот человеку нравится MVI, мне интересно, почему нравится MVI, какие там есть проблемы и так далее, потому что всегда топики, про которые люди упоминают, вот интересно проверить, насколько они вообще с ними знакомы, потому что в очень редких кейсах бывает такое, что человек много говорит про какие-то вещи, но при этом вот ты вот задаешь вопросы вглубь, там, да, на которых нет правильного ответа, опять же, просто мнение интересное, и человек просто теряется во мнении, и складывается ощущение, что у человека там или нет там собственной позиции на этот счет, да, и если ему там поставят решать вот такую вот задачу, то не факт, что он ее сможет решить вообще. Вот, потому что,
Ну да.
да, все, что мы сегодня обсуждали, это старт с нуля, вот, короче, как корабль стартанет, типа, так и будет все, вот. По Собесу, вот что хочется сказать, вот первая часть, которая была, это часть о тебе, вот обычно, обычно ну, там, любят задавать чуть больше вопросов, но ты офигенно ответил на эти вопросы, прям вообще, то есть слов нет, очень офигенный опыт с приложениями, ты рассказал там детально, как ты это делал, вот, то есть видно, что даже ты не врешь, что ты делал все это дело. Вот. Про проблемы ты тоже рассказал, какие выводы ты сделал вот с этих проблем. Вот, что тоже было очень круто. Вот, это было все также в короткий промежуток времени. Вот, то есть мы буквально минут за 7-8, наверное, закончили. Вот, а бывает такое, что эта секция и 20 минут идет, и 25, и приходится уже просто останавливать и двигаться дальше. Вот. По технической части мы с тобой совсем чуть-чуть поговорили про Kotlin, да, для разминки. Вот, в Kotlin, так, сейчас, секундочку, я пытаюсь найти то, что я записал. В Kotlin в целом, как бы, да, тоже вопросов никаких нет, но в самом начале ты пытался тот же инлайнинг объяснить таким... То есть было видно, что ты понимаешь, что это дело, ну, что это такое, но объяснить, короче, толком, ну, короче, но объяснение тебе как-то тяжело дается, короче, в этом плане. Вот, но потом
Да,
ты
ну, в смысле,
быстро
не
объяснил.
подбирай слова, типа, говори,
Вот,
как
про
есть,
вдус.
мочи.
Да, типа, в общем, просто, грубо говоря, мы копируем код вместо вызова в режиме компиляции.
Ну
Такие-то
да,
плюсы,
да.
такие-то минусы, там, тогда не используем. Вот. По поводу коллекций тоже, ну, да, вот, я думаю, то, что, возможно, я как-то просто правильно спросил, да, есть мутабельные коллекции, есть иммутабельные коллекции,
Ну
там,
да,
да,
да.
все верно, они что в Java, что в Kotlin используется одна и та же реализация. Вот, по-моему, они в Kotlin зачем-то подвезли, короче, дубликат, вот, я буду ошибаться там в одной из последних версий. Вот, то есть, возможно, теперь как бы два листа. У нас есть джавовые и котлинские. Вот, надо потом проверить. Вот. По поводу дата-классов ты сказал то, что дата-классы у нас финальные по дефолту, и то, что это может быть плохо. Вот. И вот я это пометил, потому что в Kotlin они специально сделали так, чтобы типа все закрыто, а если нужно, то открывай. Вот.
Ну да, да,
И
согласен.
здесь хотелось бы, наверное, услышать какое-то подтверждение, почему это плохо. Вот, возможно, оно есть, вот, но поскольку это уже не было времени это обсуждать, я просто это записал, что почему-то, короче, в общем, почему-то это было. Вот. По поводу выбора сети, ты бы сказал, что ты бы использовал ретрофит, но да, вот ретрофит — это просто, грубо говоря, обвязка, которая там генерирует код с помощью рефлексии для KHT, чтобы эти endpoints, да, не писать вот руками, что просто в аннотации добавить, собственно, и все, больше он на самом деле ничего не делает. Вот. Но по поводу выбора здесь вопрос такой, короче, немного хитрый, наверное, я бы сказал, потому что мы могли выбрать тот же кейтер, допустим, и в будущем крупные компании сейчас смотрят на то, чтобы как минимум хотя бы дейта-слой сделать мультиплатформенным и подключать его как отдельную библиотеку. Вот. Это спорный момент. Пока нет, наверное, ни одного successful примера, который сказал, что вот мы 100% там, переиспользуем слои, вот, именно в крупных продуктах с миллионами пользователей. Вот. Но такие работы идут. Вот, хотелось бы просто услышать какое-нибудь упоминание об этом тоже. Вот, что в целом, там, да, в общем, наверное, я бы заиспользовал или нет. И вот хотелось бы причины также узнать, почему. То есть, типа, то, что я не буду использовать, это нормально, главное просто доказать. Вот. По поводу в целом стека сложилось такое впечатление, что у тебя немного, ну вот не боязнь нового, да, то есть ты используешь стек, в котором ты уверен. Вот, это с одной стороны хорошо, с другой стороны не очень. Вот по поводу той же вот RX Java, допустим, основная проблема сейчас в том заключается, что кандидаты, большая часть, которые начинают сейчас, допустим, даже, да, которые начинали года там 1,5-2 назад, они все... В общем, им сейчас нужно как-то в голове два фреймворка укладывать, это Flow и Java, и если закладываться именно на будущее, да, то у нас, возможно, скоро вообще останутся кандидаты, которые только, не знаю, карутины знают, вот, которые у себя вот в стартапе работали год, хорошо знают карутины, и Java вообще не знают. Вот, и здесь, наверное, в общем, вот можно было бы ответить, что там я бы взвешенно подошел к этой проблеме, там, да, и проанализировал, там, грубо говоря, то есть с какой командой мне придется работать первое время, как она будет расти, сколько будет инженеров, какой опыт должен быть у этих инженеров, потому что тоже зависит от требований бизнеса. Вот. И, в общем, опять же, нет правильного ответа, но хотелось бы, в общем, услышать, что ты как бы думаешь, ну, на будущее. Вот. И да, в общем, RX Java 2, она не поддерживается, по-моему, с февраля прошлого года. Вот. Мало кто перешел на RX Java 3, мне кажется, это невозможно в больших проектах сделать. Вот. Но, типа, да, можно, на самом деле, новый проект начать с RX Java 3, если ты в ней каким-то причинам уверен. Вот. Да, в целом, вот реально, на самом деле, очень строгие ответы на все. Это прям очень круто. Видно, что ты пожил, короче, жизнь в андроиде. Вот. Видно, что чуть-чуть, возможно, ну, не хватает опыта, чтобы с нуля делать именно под большую команду, но это реально, это фигня, короче. Это, в общем, вот если вдруг приспичит, с этим, на самом деле, очень быстро разбираешься и просто потом делаешь. Вот. Так, у меня еще какие-то были нотки. Да, в целом, на самом деле, такие минорные, больше платформенные вещи есть. Типа там, да, ты в итоге сам потом додумал, что да, мы можем, на самом деле, детект в самом начале гонять и билд сразу фейлить. Вот, можем сделать проверочки, типа там, не знаю, на собственных скриптах или в Danger, которые тоже будут гоняться, или же после детекта, или до детекта тоже. Вот. Про дизайн-систему круто, что ты вообще про нее упомянул. Вот. Немногие упоминают. Мне кажется, упоминают только те, кто работал с дизайн-системой, скорее всего. Да. Вот. В общем, да, там тоже, на самом деле, очень много проблем, и я там специально там вот не стал спрашивать, да, там как бы ты ее сделал, там помимо того, что нужно как-то организовать вьюхи, там, да, вот, чтобы гарантировать реюзабилити компонентов на всех экранах, очень важно понять, как мы организовываем работу с текстом, работу с картинками, да, и все вот это. И это тоже, наверное, как бы хотелось услышать Вот, но,
Да,
в общем, опять же, у нас не было много времени, потом, может быть, может быть, мы бы к этому потом сами подошли. Вот. А так, ну, мне как бы очень понравилось твои рассуждения, вот, твои ответы. Ты говорил строго по делу, ты спрашивал, если там что-то непонятно. Вот. Мне, на самом деле, особо нечего сказать больше.
Да, с своей стороны тоже могу сказать, что мне понравились вопросы. Типа, мой опыт собеседований тут, скажем так, он тогда довольно тоже разный. Там кто что спрашивает, кто спрашивает просто там 4 секции лид-кода, условно, кто спрашивает там какие-то дебри, behavioral questions, а когда, условно, английский твой не родной язык, очень сложно объяснить, почему там логично что-то происходит там в течение часа, там почему ты там что-то там сделал какому-то чуваку, чтобы там решить конфликт. Вот, опыт, да, интересный. Я тут скорее хотел просто... Ну, в общем, да, мне очень понравилось. И вопросы прикольные, и там заставляют действительно некоторые задуматься. Вот. Да, в общем, да, спасибо за вопросы, классные были.
Да, ребят, это было круто. Мне
Да,
кажется,
спасибо, что согласился.
да, спасибо, Леша, что ты уделил время, спасибо, Андрей, что согласился, это же самое стрессовое, мне кажется, я сидела и казалось, что я прохожу собес, так же переживала. Мне кажется, всегда, вот, меня тоже поразила первая часть, вообще опыт с этими приложениями, потрясающий просто, было очень круто, реально, я прям завидую, что такое вот, это очень круто. Это не по
Да, да.
да?
Эта штука каждый год, если что, проходит, вы все можете участвовать. Вот. Ну, в смысле, там любой может вообще участвовать.
Это какой-то типа контест такой получается, от Яндекса?
Да, сейчас я найду. Яндекс Кап 2021, что-то такое. Да, просто там регистрируешься, потом тебе высылают задачки, ты их делаешь, выкладываешь на GitHub, и потом там платят сколько денег за какие-то места.
Классно, слушай, это здорово попробовать. А можно, кстати, скооперироваться, знаете, как это, трое пишут, да, дальше зарплату делим тоже на троих, да, как на лид-коде решаем втроем задачу, да, и зарплату дальше на троих. В общем, как вариант. Да, в общем, короче, мне очень понравилось еще по вопросам, я заметила вот эти, когда говорят, обычно спрашивают, в чем преимущество Kotlin, да? И ты говоришь, а в чем disadvantages, да, Kotlin? И ты такой раз, и такой, ты вроде привык, что он такой классный, да, и такой думаешь, блин, а реально, что такое? Да, вот эти disadvantages, это очень классно, и да, это, короче, мне тоже зашло. В общем, ребят, спасибо большое. В целом, мне кажется, было очень здорово, интересно, и, в общем, круто, и спасибо большое. В общем, ребят, если у аудитории есть вопросы, спрашивайте, задавайте, а если нет, то всем хорошего вечера, всем спасибо. Все.